Heard around the world by everybody and their mama. The Jesse Lee Peterson Radio Show.
Welcome to the second hour of the show. I am Jesse Lee Peterson. Thank you so much for being with me, folks. I do appreciate it. Lots of stuff to cover. Your emails and Facebook comments are coming up at the bottom of the hour. But for now, today is September 11th. Did you think about that this morning when you woke up? Today is September 11th. So we're remembering all the folks who were killed on September 11th, innocent people who died by people who hated us and still hate us. I ask that you pray for the family members who were left behind. I'm sure they're still dealing with it as they remember it today. I also ask this question. Do you feel safer today than you did September 11th? What year was that? It won't come to me. 2001. Wow. That's amazing it's been that long. September 11, 2001, 13 years ago already. Do you feel safer today than you did back then? Most people say no. According to the polls, most people feel less safer today than they did back then. Isn't that something? I know I don't feel safer today than I did back then. I have with me Mark Christian. And Mark is an Egyptian by birth and a doctor in the medical field. He was going to become a Sunni religious leader, but he became a Christian and founded Global Faith Institute, an organization meant to encourage Christians in their faith. He wants to also draw Muslims toward Christianity and sound the alarm. And I'm really happy to have Mark here today because I want to talk to him about 9/11. And when this happened back in 2001, what was his mentality at the time? Dr. Christensen, welcome to the show, sir. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah.
The only reason I feel safer today is I have been freed from the bondage of Islam to the freedom of Jesus Christ. And this is the only reason I'm feeling safe today.
I understand that, and I totally accept that. So you were born in Egypt, and you were born a Muslim, right?
Yes, a Sunni Muslim in a very devout Muslim family, and I was very devout myself.
What does it mean to be born as a Muslim and be a devout Muslim? What's the mentality of a person like that?
There is two different parts of that question. The first one, if you're born in a Muslim family, you have to be a Muslim, and if you leave Islam, you will be treated as an apostate and has to be killed. So it's not a choice if you are born in a Muslim family, if you choose another religion or not. The other part is being born in a devout Muslim family. The expectation that is on you as a born into a devout Muslim family to be a devout Muslim yourself, and you are judged by higher standards in how you practice your religion and how you follow the teachings of Muhammad and the teachings of the Quran.
Is Islam a peaceful religion?
Far from true. There's no one word about peace in Islam except when Muhammad is teaching others how to treat other Muslims who are abiding by the same rules and regulations of Islam. One other thing is peaceful is when people submit under the ruling of Islamic State and the ruling of Islamic leaders and live in submission and pay the jizya, which is the taxes that non-Muslims that follow one of the major religions pay to Muslim leaders so they can practice their own religion freely. Then they can have peace that way. There is no peace under Islam, especially in the last 10 years of Muhammad's life.
What do you think when you hear, we heard President George Bush call Islam a peaceful religion. We hear Obama calling it a peaceful religion. What goes through your mind, and why do you think that they're calling it a peaceful religion when it's not?
Those are two different cases. When I look at Bush, when he said that statement, I feel sorry for him that he felt a prey in the hands of the Muslim Brotherhood front groups that told him what he has to say that day. And you can see it in that very iconic picture when he was standing out at a mosque in Washington and saying Islam is a religion of peace, and every single person behind him are Muslim Brotherhood members or leaders of the Muslim Brotherhood front groups in the United States. And this is why I feel sorry for him that he opened his door for those guys to tell him what to tell American people. On the other hand, when I look at President Obama and what he says, like yesterday when he said Islam is not, ISIL is not Islamic, I don't think he himself believes that. He knows very well that what he says is not true. He grew up in a Muslim country under a Muslim parent, and this is completely far from true, and he knows that very well. Islam, his argument is based on Islam is ISIL is killing other Muslims, both Shiite and Sunni, and he knows quite well that throughout Islamic history, Muslims has been killing other Muslims on a regular basis, and I cannot present enough argument more than the daughter of Muhammad, the Prophet of Islam himself, is killed by the hands of Muslims. Both of his grandkids has been killed by Muslims, and Muslims are being killed every day at the hand of other Muslims for different and multiple reasons. One of them is claiming apostasy of the other, or for political arguments and political fights.
Do you personally believe that Barack Obama is a Muslim?
Muslim or not is not by practicing his Islam or praying 5 times a day. I have no idea what he is practicing in the secrecy of his home. His actions and his attitude and the way he governed the United States for the last years that since he became a president shows one thing, that he is very supportive of the Muslim Brotherhood, very supportive of the Sunni Islamic agenda, and against the Shiite Sunni. So he's not only supporting Muslims in general or the liberty in the Middle East, he's supporting one group over the other.
That's amazing. I want to quickly play this soundbite for you, for the audience, where Obama spoke last night. And he said there's nothing Islamic about ISIL. No religion promotes the killing of innocent. Listen to this.
ISIL is not Islamic. No religion condones the killing of innocents. And the vast majority of ISIL's victims have been Muslim. And ISIL is certainly not a state. It was formerly al-Qaeda's affiliate in Iraq and has taken advantage of sectarian strife and Syria's civil war to gain territory on both sides of the Iraq-Syrian border. It is recognized by no government, nor by the people it subjugates. ISIL is a terrorist organization, pure and simple, and it has no vision other than the slaughter of all who stand in its way.
And that's the comment, the statement that you're referring to, Doctor, that he said last night. It was mind-blowing that he could stand there and just lie to the American people at such a time as we are dealing with right now.
I would never say the president is lying, but his statement is not 100% true. The second part of the statement might have some kind of ground of truth, but the first one, his argument based that no religion condemns any slaughtering of any innocent people, I would agree with this, because Islam is not a religion but an ideology of death, and Islam has been killing Muslims and Shiite and Christians and Jews and all minorities throughout its history. Muhammad himself, at the time of his death, had 9 swords in his possession. He named every single one of those swords, and 3 of those swords has been got as booty from aggressive actions against Jews. So Muhammad himself has killed other Muslims who did not abide with his regulations after submitting to him. So his statement is not true.
Let me take a quick break. 888-7753-773. Mind-blowing, folks. Absolutely mind-blowing. Back in a moment.
No, we're not the same, but that's what makes us strong. From the mountain. Have you forgotten when those towers fell? We had neighbors still inside, going through a living hell.
Dr. Mark Christian is with us. He is an Egyptian by birth, but now he is a Christian. And I have to tell you, very, very interesting guy. Doctor, tell the folks how to get to your website. I don't want to run out of time here without you having that opportunity.
Global Faith Institute is our website, and I encourage people to tune in and to learn about what's going on. I've been talking about the battle and the fight in ISIS and in the Middle East and the Arab Spring for quite some time. And also we have Abraham's Tent radio show. I would encourage people to tune in and listen as well if you go to the website of Abraham's Tent radio show.
And also globalfaithinstitute.org, folks. Doctor, this is 9/11. Today is September 11, 2014. On September 11, 2001, where were you at the time, and what was your mindset when you saw America being attacked?
I was still back in Egypt that day, and I just got back from England, and I have seen as I've seen the second plane hitting the second tower. I realized that this is going to be a huge and big event in the world, that nothing is going to be the same again. What was surprising to me, and I should not have been surprised that much, but really the cheer and the joy in the streets of Cairo and the streets of Egypt and the streets of the Middle East, while they're seeing people dying and jumping off the building and America is under attack. You can see that from both sides, whether they are religious people who are happy that the devil or America is, attacked, or even the very peaceful Muslims who are feeling the joy that America is attacked as well. And I couldn't even find any reasons for all this joy while people are dying. It was mind-boggling, really.
Wow. At the time, were you a Christian? Had you become a Christian at that time?
No, I was actually still in my search years. I call them the Wonderland years. I left Islam 8 years before that day, and I was still in search of the truth. I would call myself at that time atheist, agnostic, angry at God, mad at God. I shared that in my testimony. Those are the years that I really was just enjoying life and not worrying about who God is, because I was so mad at God after leaving Islam.
And why were you mad? In short, why were you mad at God? I know you have the testimony up there, but why were you mad at him?
Well, I grew up believing in God of Islam, Allah, so much, and dedicated my life and all my life and all my time to serve him in every way possible. I believed the Quran, I believed Muhammad, I believed my dad and my mentors. And all of a sudden, when I digged into Islam history and theology, I found that it's completely based on false, assertions and a very greedy person who's Muhammad in the last 10 years of his life. He's all about building a political system and an empire, Islamic empire for himself and also the followers. And when I lost faith in Islam, I lost faith in any higher beings or even God, that he exists. But really the nudge that God keep on putting in my life and the need for him pushed me to find the truth later on.
Yeah, I understand that. So how did you become a Christian?
As I mentioned, it's a very long journey, one step at a time, and God understands how I think. So, God sent me one verse after another. I never met a missionary in my life. I never met somebody who shared the gospel with me. It is all based on my own research and my own work, trying to find God, and definitely the Holy Spirit and Jesus was showing up in every corner of my life to guide me to the right direction. And it took me years to come to the belief and to be a newborn Christian and enjoy the freedom of Christ.
Right on, man. I totally understand what you're saying. That is an amazing story, but I totally understand what you're saying. We're running out of time. Today, as I said, is September 11th, and so when you woke up this morning, where do you think we are today after what happened to us 9/11, 2001? What are your feelings about where we are today, and is there a possibility we could be attacked again?
we are going in the completely wrong direction since 9/11. We still, till today, in the aftermath. Till today, you are paying the consequences of 9/11. The resurrection of the Freedom Tower did not start yet. Life is not going the right direction for Americans or America altogether. The world is waiting for a leader that will announce and define the enemy and start defeating it, and no one other than America would do that. Right now, we are not in the right direction whatsoever. Attacks in the near future in American soil, I don't think is going to happen while we're having Obama in office, but we have a huge, big enemy within right now. Islamists are able to recruit Americans from American cities to fight for them. Those are guys who are going to come back. If you look at the equation of terrorism or the equation of radical Islamists within the country, you will find everything is in place, but no attacks is going to happen until Obama leaves office.
And why not until then?
I don't want to answer that question.
You don't want to answer that question?
No.
But you do know the answer to it?
Well, it is not for the good for the Islamists to attack America inside its border while President Obama in office.
It's not good for the Islamists to do that.
No. It's not serving their agenda.
And so, wow, the fact that you can't tell us is kind of interesting to me. It made me a little nervous.
You get nervous?
I mean, when you said you can't tell us why they want to attack, you just said it's not in the interest of them, but we won't be attacked until after Obama leaves, so that's 2 more years to go. What should we be doing in the meantime then?
We need to start define our enemy and attack the enemy heads on. And the enemy is the radical Islam. We continue trying to defend Muslims within our nation and say, Islam is a religion of peace because my neighbor is a peaceful guy or my coworker is a peaceful guy. It's irrelevant whatsoever. It doesn't serve anybody, and it's not even helping that peaceful Muslim that you're talking about. We have to identify that the enemy is radical Islam. And until we eradicate and ban radical Islam from this country and try to go after anybody who is preaching that kind of ideology in our country, then things is not going to be better. And if we are not going to identify the enemy outside and we call Islamic State in Iraq and Levant as an Islamic ideology, we are not going to be able to defeat it whatsoever. Nobody is going to listen to what we say.
Well, unfortunately, because America is a political correct society now, and people are afraid, I don't see that happening. I don't see, of course, through God, all things are possible, but I don't see anyone standing up and doing that anytime soon.
We have to do that, otherwise we lose our liberty as we lost it since 9/11, and our freedom since we lost it since 9/11, and we will continue losing until we identify and stand up. Political correctness is not in the Constitution. Freedom of religion is in the Constitution, and freedom of religion is definitely something we all cherish, but Islam in many parts is not a religious ideology. It is a political ideology, and we have to separate those two from each other and work with the Muslims who are willing to take the action to separate those two from each other and ban radical Islam and ban political Islam from this country.
Doctor, I have one more question I need to ask you. I know you're booked for until the bottom of this hour. Can you hold on? I have one more question after this break, and then I can let you go. Is that possible?
Yes.
Okay. 888-775-3773. Back in a moment.
From sea to shining sea, and it'll feel like the whole wide world is raining down on you. Brought to you courtesy of the red, white, and blue.
Okay, folks, welcome back. I am Jesse Lee Peterson. We're going to get to your email, Facebook comments in a few minutes here. I'm talking with Dr. Mark Christian. He is an Egyptian by birth, was a Muslim, and now a Christian. And he's really sounding the alarm that we need to really pay attention to what's going on and get serious about it and get involved because we are headed for some bad times you can go to his website at globalfaithinstitute.org, globalfaithinstitute.org. Doctor, thank you for staying over for a few more minutes here. Over the weekend, this past weekend, I had a Muslim on here in L.A. He's a LAPD officer who works in the counter terrorism organization there. And he told me during the show that in this country, most Muslims are black. I want to know if that's true, and if so, why is it that way?
Well, that's not true. Actually, Islam is the fastest growing religion in the United States, and the number one convert to Islam nowadays are single white women. So, this assertion that the majority of Muslims are black, that's far from true. Maybe back in the day when the Islamic religion was very common between blacks, but since the Muslim Brotherhood front groups moved to the United States, and they have been converting people and bringing people over here left and right, and that has changed the whole numbers and everything.
I'm being corrected a little bit here. My producer's telling me he said that most Muslims born here are black. Is that true?
I don't know the numbers about that, to be honest with you, but I know that the African American Muslim community is far from the understanding of the whole picture of Islamic agenda and the Middle East Islam. One of the things that President Obama mentioned yesterday is the problems coming from the Muslims in the Middle East. Those are the guys who look at themselves as the real picture of Islam, who are following the teachings of the Prophet Muhammad and the teachings of the Quran. And the majority of the African American community who adopted Islam as a religion, they don't know exactly the full picture of Islam because of the religious barriers and because of the language barrier and other things.
You say that most of the Muslim here most of the people who become a Muslim here are single white women. Why is that?
Because of the very hard working of the Muslim Brotherhood front groups in the United States, and because of the lack of the church to protect and teach its own people. Political correctness and condemning is going on in churches. I'm afraid to tell you that the biggest problem that we have over here in this country right now is not only the Islamic problem or the radical Islam, but the complicit church and backing up and political correctness. The churches are not welcoming and helping single white women in their struggles in this life, economically and socially and so forth, and they fell prey in the hands of Islamic groups and Muslim Brotherhood front groups.
Wow. Lord have mercy. I'm
Amen.
sorry. That is mind-blowing, sir. I know that I said I only had one, but I do have one final one. What is the difference between Islam and radical Islam?
You tell me.
There is no difference, huh?
Well, Islam is Islam. Islam is one religion. When you look at Islam from a Christian perspective or Jewish perspective or Western perspective, American perspective, you are really not doing any good for yourself. You have to understand from an Islamic perspective, and Islam condemn anybody changes any one single word of the teachings of Muhammad or the words of the Quran. They don't look at the Bible that you can, they don't look at the Quran as something that you can translate even. You have to take it as it is, because it's the exact wording of God. They take the teachings of Muhammad as given by God himself. They don't look at him that he did any sin or did any mistake, because in the Quran it says that he does not say anything except has been given to him by God. So the actions of Muhammad and the action and the Quran itself is fundamental in the beliefs of Islam. So whoever invent or live in a bubble that says Islam is a religion of peace or I'm going to be a peaceful myself is condemned by Islam itself, and he has no right to do that. This is why you don't see any kind of reform movement within the Islamic teachings whatsoever, especially in the Sunni. The main problems are coming from the Sunni, because those are the guys who are brutal and they are very condemning, and they go after whoever changes the teaching of Islam by the sword. And this is why you don't see any kind of reform. You ask any peaceful Muslim out there and ask him, do you skip over the verses that ask for the beheading of Islam? Of non-Muslims? He's going to tell you, no, I cannot skip one verse. I cannot reject one verse. I cannot even oppose one teachings of the Prophet Muhammad. So the reality is there is no difference. There is people who are living in a bubble, who are condemned by Islam, and others who are following the real teachings of Islam.
Did Muhammad do any miracles? Did he perform any miracles?
Well, he did not do any miracles. No, he did not. He did not do any of the miracles. The Quran is very clear about who Jesus is and how he performed many miracles, but they deny that he is the Son of God, and they deny that he died on the cross. Muhammad himself did not perform any miracles whatsoever, other than he was building a state that was killing others.
My final question, because of time here too, does the Quran teach Muslims to lie? That it's okay to lie to the infidels and deceive them, befriend them in order to destroy them?
There is a very clear verse in the Quran. It was talking about Jesus, but it says that, people try to deceive and you try to deceive, but God is the biggest deceiver. And the Quran, that by itself is a kind of indication that you can, play around the truth a little bit. But the real teachings of lying for the cause of Islam is the teachings of Muhammad and the teachings of the first followers of Islam. That, the means, yes, you can lie if you're going to be supporting the Islamic agenda and so forth. Those are the teachings of Muhammad, but not in the Quran itself.
Very compelling, Dr. Mark Christian. I really, really have been just enlightened by you today, and I didn't know exactly what to expect, but it's far beyond what I would have imagined. God bless you for what you're doing. And
Thank you very much. We need to pray for America, and we need to pray for what's going to happen next, and how Russia is going to respond to President Obama's speech yesterday. And it's an honor to be on your show.
Yes, sir. We will have you back. God bless you, sir.
Thank you.
All right. Back in a moment, folks. When I asked the doctor, did he think that we would be attacked again, he said yes, but not while Obama's in office. And I said, well, why not? He said, I can't tell you. Wow, and that really made me feel weird. I'm going to have to call him later and say, hey, if I come have lunch with you, will you whisper and tell me or something? I don't know if there's anything I can do about it once I know, but that is mind-blowing, folks. These are, just weird times today. It really is. It's too bad, too. But these are weird times. And I think the reason that I believe the reason that it is this way is because we the people in the United States of America have turned so far away from good. I really do. And when you turn away from good, you open up for evil to come in, whether you know it or not, because it is a spiritual battle between good and evil. And you're either serving one or the other. So if you shut down one, then the other one will come forth. Whether you know it or not, believe it or not, accept it or not, it will happen. That interview went longer than I was scheduled. I'm glad that he was kind enough to go a little longer, because I had those questions that I asked. And believe me, I could have gone on with some more. I love what he said about how he got to know God. It was without the influence of anyone else. He didn't have, the outreach ministers or the Christians or anybody to minister to him. he got to know him because he left Islam. There was nothing left, and he wanted to know. And God started revealing things to him. That's some pretty deep stuff, and that's the way it should be happening. I'm telling you. But no, y'all won't listen. Andre, do we have time to do emails? We do have time.
Yeah, but you're going to change the topic.
When?
If you do the emails, it's about something else.
At the bottom of this hour? What?
The emails are about something else?
Right.
Do you still want to do them?
But the emails are about
They're about your WorldNet Daily article.
how Christians should be acting with the sinners.
Yes.
That would change the topic from September 11th.
It kind of would.
Where were you on September 11th?
I was at school.
How old were you?
I don't remember, but I think I was in 5th grade or 6th.
What?
Yeah.
Don't brag.
Don't be jealous.
I'm telling you. And what do you remember about hearing what was going on?
I remember going into school. In our family, we didn't have the tradition of watching the news early in the morning.
Were you in this country or over there?
No, here.
You were here in this country?
I was here at that time. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
So we didn't have that tradition of watching the news in the morning during breakfast and all.
Mm-hmm.
So I really didn't know what was going on until I went to school and saw that everything was in chaos, basically. The teachers were crying, TVs were on. That's what we were watching live throughout basically the entire day. But that was about it. It just lasted a few hours, and that's it. When I came home, and just forgotten, basically.
Then
I guess I was a kid, that's why. I don't know.
Yeah. Did the teachers explain to you guys what had happened?
No, I don't remember any of that. I just remember them confused.
Oh, so they just had you guys to watch it. You're in the 5th grade.
We were just watching it as it was happening.
Oh,
live.
I see. Oh,
Yeah.
I see. And did you feel scared or anything?
I don't remember any of those feelings, no.
Oh.
No, I felt worried that, what was going on, confused. That
Yeah. Wow, that was very young. And so you get home, and what did your folks tell you?
Nothing, really. I don't remember any of that. Nothing.
Really?
It didn't really leave a mark on me.
Right. Yeah, in the 5th grade.
Yeah,
I
it did.
I understand that.
I was just back to my stuff when I came home, I guess.
You went out and played with your guns.
Probably.
And how do you feel about it today as an adult?
Yeah, it makes me sad when I look at it, when I look at the images online, when I look at the horror that happened that day. It's just, and the possibility that it may repeat itself.
I know.
Yeah, it's just terrifying. I mean, it's scary. There's no peace in it.
I think it's amazing that the people elected a president who would allow something like that to happen again. By allowing it to be set up, by not closing the borders, not being honest about Islam, protecting the enemies instead of killing the enemies. To me, that's mind-blowing.
Yeah, it seems like the people get too comfortable after a while and forget their pains and then forget all that had happened and are willing to allow it to repeat itself. They just get too comfortable with their lives and think that nothing ever would possibly happen like that again. But that's so far from the truth.
What went through your mind when the doctor told us that, yes, there will be another attack, but not while Obama's in office. But he can't tell us why. I asked, well, why not? He said, I can't tell you. And it was like real serious, too. What went through your mind?
It sounded scary.
Sure did.
Yeah, and I was trying to figure out why. Trying to come up with scenarios. But it sounded scary. Weird. I don't know. I don't know what to expect. Everything's just so confusing. And uncertain.
I should have tried to press him more to tell us.
Too late now.
Amazing. Back in a moment, folks. Okay, folks, look like we're going to have to get to your emails and Facebook comments tomorrow. That interview with Dr. Christian went longer than anticipated, and it was just very interesting. So we will get to them. I absolutely appreciate them. We have just a whole bunch of them that really email, Facebook, tweets, comments. We have one more hour to go. You can continue listening live by going to bondinfo.org. If you're not getting all 3 hours of the show by way of radio in your town, all right? We're at the top of this coming hour, we're going to talk to Dr. Lee Cornert. He is a 30-year veteran teacher. He has some interesting ideas. We're going to talk to him about that coming up and take your phone calls. There's a soundbite that I have to get to in the next hour. I want to show you how some young black children are being traumatized when it comes to the race issue, and this is being done by adults. And when I saw this, I could not believe that society has become that evil that they're willing to do this to very, very young children in order to get at white people, because that's what it's all about. And that's coming up for you, too, in the next hour, as well as your phone calls. Again, go to... when is the senator coming up? Is he in the next hour, too? Oh, my goodness. At the bottom of the next hour, I forgot. I'm talking to a Georgia senator, Fran Millar, who was accused of racism. That's a very interesting story coming up for you. He's going to be with us at the bottom of the second hour. So we just have a full show for you today, folks. The third hour is the next hour, boy. I said second hour, next hour. That old boy. That old boy. The producer. That old boy. Y'all, come on down here now, old boys. All right, don't touch that dial. This is 9/11 as well, so just a lot of stuff going on. Back in a moment.